It's Saturday, and may the 4th be with you. The week was absolutely crazy. Bordeaux prices were all over the place, and guess what happened? They lowered the prices. But we will just talk about that very, very briefly because there's another episode coming up where I only talk about Bordeaux En Primeur pricing and the 2023 vintage. What also was running around this week was a guy named Tom Gilby. He's quite a cool wine influencer from the UK, and he ran a marathon with blind tasting 26 wines every single mile. Huge marketing thing, and there was a lot of other stuff going on this week, especially in the Nolo area. So enjoy the episode and have fun with it. Welcome to the Pinot and Pixel podcast episode number 154, the weekly update on May 4th. And there were some quite interesting news this week, and everywhere was Bordeaux. Bordeaux En Primeur started on April 29th, and everybody was waiting for what to come. Will they lower the prices? Will they keep the high level, or will they even raise the prices? And guess what happened? They lowered it. 20, 30, 35%. Lafite Latour, today Chateau Talbot came, and most of the wineries decided to go lower in prices. The lowest I've seen was, I guess, 8%, and the highest one was 35%. We will summarize that up in an extra episode, so keep listening to this podcast. By the way, it would mean the world to me if you recommend this podcast to a friend who might enjoy one of our episodes, who might find this useful for him or her. Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce you to Tom Gilby. Tom Gilby is an amazing guy. He is not only a wine influencer, a wine merchant from the UK, he's also all over the place at social media. And he has, I guess, 4 million followers on TikTok and quite a lot on Instagram as well. And he has a very funny, open-minded and also, slightly unconservative way talking about wine. I really enjoy. I've been following him for quite a while right now. And what he recently did is he took part in a marathon of London, and every single mile he blind tasted a wine that was handed by his son. In the end, he was quite successful. I guess he failed 4 of them, and he put 7 to 10. I can't remember. Sorry, Tom, if you're listening. I guess 10 or 11 on point. And the rest was quite close. Let's put it like this. His idea was to raise money for the hospital that took care of his wife. And in the end, he ended up collecting over £20,000. So quite successful. And what is way more interesting to me is I've been to ProWine, I've been to Vin Italy, and there's some other fairs coming up, and I guess the excitement, the feelings, and also the fear of the people will be quite similar because everybody is afraid. Everybody is like, what shall we do right now? Consumption is going down, people won't drink wine anymore. How do we get Gen Y and Gen Z to drink more wine again? And this guy, I don't know, I don't think it's by accident, but this guy just did what we should all do. I mean, this guy's 52 years old. He appears to be younger, but nevertheless, I mean, he's a sporty guy. But what he did is he used the platforms, and he uses the platforms every single day where the attention of the young customers is. So if you want to sell your wine, do it like him. And I mean, he started from scratch. He's not a celebrity or something like that. He just did what other people do. He focused on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram. He told his story. He has his own USP and telling stories and talking about wine, and this makes him so successful. And this was another campaign showing that it is possible to reach younger customers, to give them a better feeling for wine, and to also encourage them to buy wine, to like wine maybe a bit more. And this could be blueprint for all of us, definitely. Another thing that was in the news all over the week: finally, it rained in Cava, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough. At some places, it was up to 15 liters, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough to dampen the drought and the crisis that is going on. And we talked about Freixenet that planned to lay off 80% of their co-workers temporarily due to this drought, and that will be no grapes available to harvest. And unfortunately, the rain didn't solve the problem at all. And in addition, the Spanish government said no to Freixenet. There is reasons where you can lay off your staff temporarily, but drought is not a thing. And right now, Freixenet is fighting with the Catalan government on how to proceed. What can we do with our 600 employees? And currently, the state is no, you have to follow the rules and they have to keep working on whatever. Maybe they can, I don't know, clean the bottles in the cellar. I mean, this isn't funny, of course, but it's also a bit weird to see that on the one hand, they want to put the pressure they loaded on their company on the shoulders of the employees. And secondly, they also try to change the laws of the DOs to get other grapes in. And I mean, the idea of an origin, of course, is also to represent the region and the style of wine. And I mean, let's put it like this: on a base level of quality or very low level of quality, it might be easier to add other grape varieties to get the similar tastes and a similar style. But is this really the thing that the industry wants and that is behind the DO thinking and all the consortiums and stuff like that? I don't think so. And I mean, companies like Freixenet, they are very successful, but they are the reasons why the smaller ones like Albertinoia and the others quit DO Cava, because they see that the focus of quality, especially in the Cava area, is fading away. So I totally get it. We'll keep you up to date what will happen in Cava and especially with Freixenet. At the moment, Freixenet will have to go through the crisis with their employees. We stay bubbly. In the UK, the Raffiney Wine Estate, which is quite known for interesting marketing campaigns and stuff, they launched their first 50 centiliters, so 500 milliliters sparkling wine bottle. And some people might ask, why? I mean, we have the 750 milliliters average bottle. We have the demi bottle, so the half bottle with 375. Why do we need a 500 centiliters bottle? And there have been studies showing that for one person drinking wine from a bottle, or maybe even with a friend, 750 is too much and 375 is too few. And also, it's only barely available. There's just a few producers that really fill 375 milliliters bottles. So 550 centiliters could be a thing. And Raffiney is the first estate in the UK to release a 500 milliliters bottle. And they said it's a good idea because it's the perfect size for two people. They had to do some lobby work due to the fact that the size wasn't allowed in the UK. And right now, they were able to publish it. It's called Mini Cuvée 2020. It's only 800 bottles, but they plan to release a bigger amount of another vintage very soon. And I guess there will be other producers jumping on that train because it totally makes sense. And in addition, it makes English sparkling wine more accessible because, in fact, I mean, if the average bottle is 35 to 40 quid, right now this bottle is around 25 and it's more affordable, especially when I want to get a feeling for English sparkling wine. And if I've never tried it and I'm more a Prosecco guy or gal, this might be an interesting bottle to try out and it doesn't make my wallet explode. Interesting thing. They were also famous for putting wines in the ocean, so bottles in the ocean, bottle aging, ocean aging, and they also do some other quite interesting stuff. I mean, I guess they have a quite smart marketing crew and they know how to communicate it. Interesting blueprint as well. Still bubbly, but a bit more technical. Moët has been doing tests in the last couple of years with machines, with harvesters, with cutters, with mowers, with weeders in the vineyards. And right now they started with fully self-driving tractors or robots. They call it robots actually, but in the end it's robot tractors, fully self-driving, and they cut the vines automatically. And this is just to conquer, of course, the staff shortage. Also, unfortunately, available a thing in Champagne. And in addition, of course, it makes life much easier. And they work very precisely. They've been testing those machines for, I guess, they started in 2017, so quite a long way. Not 2019, so 5 years. It's a cooperation with an Asian company. The costs are around £130,000 or 150,000 euro. Quite expensive, but I mean, Moët is big enough to afford this and to test it as well. And the founder of the company, the technology company that produced the robots, has quite a history with Tesla. And this what really was ringing a bell when I first read the article, like this fully self-driving thing. I mean, this reminded me of the story of Tesla. And I mean, those are the first ones working automatically in the vineyard. There's a video as well. I will put the link in the show notes to that so that you can see how the robots are working. Really interesting thing. Have a look at it, and maybe in the nearer future we will see this as well in other wine countries of the world. We stay in France, where currently they are thinking about changing the wine law. The Institut National de l'Origine et de la Qualité, responsible for the wine laws and the vines, especially for the IGPs, is thinking about changing the law on dealcoholizing wine. Why is that? Especially in southern France, where the big IGP is sitting. They have a lot of wine and they struggle in selling it because the alcohol level is too high. And of course, there's this trend towards lower alcohol wines, lighter wines. People want to drink wines with less alcohol. But in fact, unfortunately, at the moment, you're not allowed to de-alcoholize wines under the IGP law. You have to label it as Vin de France. And right now, they try to change the law that this might be possible up to a de-alcoholization of 6% ABV. And probably even under specific laws with a maximum of 9% residual alcohol. We will see if this will go through. I would hope for, actually. I see not only in southern France a trend towards lighter wines in consumer demand, and also, unfortunately, due to climate change, a trend towards higher alcohol levels, especially on the whites. So this might be an option to adapt to everything that is going on and to give people more perspective on selling their wine easier and, of course, in a way that fulfills consumer demand better. By the way, when it comes to alcohol and taste, a new study recently released their results. They tested why drinks taste more alcoholic when they're warmer and how this all contributes to the taste of a wine, to the feeling of a wine on the palate, especially on the palate, because usually when you taste wine and it feels slightly sharp in the finish, it warms up while swallowing the wine, then the alcohol level might be higher. And right now, this study showed why this happened. Imagine wine, just like every other drink, as a combination, as a collection of water and ethanol molecules. And they are all combined. And the warmer they get, the looser they are connected. And some stuff is released, especially ethanol, of course, flavors, aromas. This is also why sometimes it might be a good idea to just warm up your glass a bit to get a feeling of what aromas are within the wine you would like to enjoy. And of course, while opening up, it smells better. It smells more intense. And sometimes you get a feeling for the quality as well when you taste it on the palate. And temperature usually is a good thing. But of course, in addition, this is what the study showed, that when you warm up a drink, also the alcohol molecules have more space to interact, let's put it like this, and then you feel it warmer, and sometimes you get this sharp taste, this sharp finish in the end. And for all the scientists out there, I just give you a quote from this article. When the temperature drops, the structure becomes more compact, which is why chilled beer has a more stimulating taste. Warmer drinks and those with a higher ABV were perceived to be more pungent and to taste more alcoholic due to their change in cluster formation. Yes, this was the nerdy part of the podcast episode. I will put the link in the show notes. It's quite interesting. And the more you drink, the more you get a feeling on how your favorite wine should be enjoyed, what is the perfect temperature for it. And I mean, it's a bit scientific, but don't be too nerdy. Just enjoy it, how it tastes the best for you, for your palate, because in the end, there's just two different styles of wine. You like it or you dislike it. Talking about alcohol, lower alcohol wines, the feeling of alcohol, and also the trend towards lighter wines, Saint Michel, one of the biggest companies in the US, is releasing their light Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc. So they are low in alcohol. They have been de-alcoholized to a level of I guess 9%. Yeah, it's just 80 calories. It's 9% of alcohol in the bottle. Quite refreshing, quite light, and of course they use the 80 calories resulting for their marketing, meaning that there is some residual sugar in it as well, but no added sugar. And this is also quite interesting and also quite necessary for marketing in the US, especially in the US market. Retail price is $13, affordable for the American market, I would say. Chateau Saint Michel knows what they do. It's a big brand and they have been producing good wines for quite a while. So interesting move. It's not easy to produce low alcohol wines, put it in the market and hope for them being successful, because it's quite tough to address them. I mean, if there is just a regular wine fitting a region or a specific style, you can just address this in marketing. This is our Pinot representing New Zealand's Central Otago style as you know it, as you love it. Or this is our alcohol-free beer, 100% taste, zero alcohol. If you are a fan of this and that, just enjoy our 0.0 beer. So quite easy to address. And sometimes you go for the wine geeks, for the wine nerds, for the wine lovers. And on the other side, you go for people who are in sports, who are pregnant, who don't want to drink, who just have a healthier lifestyle and all this kind of stuff. But who are the people you try to get with a lower wine? How do you address that? And for me, it's easier when you're a bigger brand because you already have a huge portfolio. Your company stays for quality, for a specific product, or just a style of product, a taste, for example. And then it is easier. You can produce normal wine, you can produce alcohol-free wine, and then you put right in the middle, you say, okay, this is our standard portfolio, and we added up this low-calorie wine. This perfectly suits in our portfolio. And this is easier to market instead of saying, okay, now we are a low-alcohol brand, and I try to sell you my wine. Because all those health guys that don't want or cannot drink, all those I don't drink alcohol at all guys, I cannot address it to them. And the people who just love normal, usual wine, it's also quite tough to address it. Because sometimes, this is what studies show, they have the feeling that this is not normal wine because something has been taken out of the wine. So in the end, it's just a marketing thing that is way easier for brands to say, okay, this is our low-calorie version. If you want to enjoy your favorite wine from your favorite brand, in that case, Saint Michel, but at the lower calorie level, this is your wine to go. And of course, they chose Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, the two most famous grape varieties in the white section in the US. One more interesting news this week from the no-low segment. In the Business Times was the article about ABinBev that is heading towards the Olympic Games in the summer 2024 with a cooperation with zero alcohol beer. So what they will do is they will offer alcohol-free versions of their popular brand Corona. So the Maximum Beer Corona will be available as a booze-free beer. So everywhere you want to have a drink, you will see an alcohol-free version of beer, especially during the Olympic Games. Quite interesting thing was there was an interview, a brief interview with the brewer, Christian Modgal. He's the director of the Belgian Brewers Association. And he said, it's quite funny. 20 or 30 years ago, it was more a case of increasing the alcohol content. And now we've reversed the trend and are lowering it or even offering no booze versions. Super interesting. Feeding the trend, feeding the demand. And of course, I mean, you might know this when you're a loyal listener of this podcast. I'm not a fan of combining alcoholic drinks with sports. This is the Olympic Games. And of course, it's way better to offer alcohol-free beer as well, in addition to the usual alcohol that is sold. A cooperation we've already talked about is the NBA with Hennessy. They've been doing this for, I guess, 4 years right now. And Christian, our very loyal listener, thank you, Christian, sent me the link via Instagram of the new campaign of Hennessy and the NBA. Quite funny video. I put the link in the show notes. And of course, they are also playing a bit with the NBA tournament, with the NBA playoffs they're currently running. And guess what? I'm a quite happy person today because the New York Knicks kicked out the Philadelphia 76ers, and right now they're in the semi-finals of the conference. I'm quite sure they will make it to the conference finals and I guess they will play against the Boston Celtics. Great game. Really looking forward to it. Nevertheless, this is a great cooperation. It's a very steady cooperation. It's well made, the mixture in between sport and alcohol, even though, I'm not a fan of it. But bringing two big brands together and, of course, always display it. Please drink responsibly. It's a well-made spot. It's a well-made place. And especially in the US and also in the UK, sports and alcoholic drinks are very well connected. It's part of the culture. It's part of social life, of social gatherings. And of course, this totally makes sense. This was it for the week. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the NBA playoffs if you're following them. See you next week, Wednesday. Ciao, ciao.